Divorce doesn't make a man weak. It simply makes him stop and face himself in the silence he never noticed before. There are mornings waking up in a house that once held familiar voices, now filled only with the sound of emptiness. There are evenings looking at the phone, with no one to call, no messages to reply to, and there are moments, even in the middle of a crowd, when that man still feels like he's standing alone. After a broken marriage, you might feel angry, you might feel disappointed, you might carry the weight of betrayal, of loss, or blame yourself for not being good enough. All of those feelings are real and deserve to be acknowledged. But more importantly, they are the starting point of a new journey, not to go back to the past, but to truly see yourself in the present. This video doesn't aim to teach you how to be perfect. It's not here to judge or to blame anyone. It exists for one reason, and to help you. A man who has gone through divorce stands stronger. Understand yourself better before starting again with someone else. And there are 10 very specific things you need to do before you're truly ready to love again. Many men after divorce choose to enter a new relationship right after leaving their old life. They don't realize that the wounds inside are still intact. They still carry the disappointment, the anger, or the fear of being abandoned again. They think a new person will make the old feelings disappear. But then, after a short time, everything starts to repeat the same familiar arguments. The old sense of disappointment, and the silence they've been through before. Divorce. Legally, maybe just an ending written on paper, but emotionally, it's a much deeper collapse. It doesn't just take away a partner, it also strips away familiar routines, expectations that once shaped life, and sometimes even the trust in oneself. You don't just lose a relationship, you lose a part of who you thought you were. After divorce, many things are shaken. Daily rhythm, value systems, how you see others, and how you see yourself. Some people try to jump back into the old pace quickly, as if being busy or having someone new will make everything fine. But inside, the fatigue lingers. Emotions remain unnamed, and insecurity still hides somewhere behind every forced smile. Starting over should not be a race to fill the void. No one should be a replacement. No one deserves to be a patch for a heart still torn. Starting over, if truly needed, it must begin from within by rebuilding yourself. Not to prove that you're still attractive, still have a chance, but to understand who you are, what you need, and what you're ready to give in the next time. Only when you feel solid from within will the next relationship not be a continuation of the breakdown, but a completely new chapter written with clarity and respect. There's one thing most men after divorce don't want to face: their true emotions. The pain is often hidden behind a tough exterior, behind phrases like, "I'm fine," or "it's in the past," not worth thinking about. But the truth is, it's still there. The feeling of emptiness when seeing someone pack up and leave the house. The cold silence in a room that used to be full of familiar voices. The moment sitting in the car, hands on the steering wheel, but the mind drifting back to those final arguments. Facing those emotions isn't weakness, it's necessary. If you can't name the wounds in your heart, no journey ahead will be steady. Sometimes, all it takes is a notebook to write down what's hard to say, a real conversation with a trusted friend, or, if possible, a session with a therapist. You don't have to fix everything in one day, but you need to start looking at it before thinking about letting someone else into your inner world. Many walk out of a marriage wounded, and by reflex, they choose to blame. They think everything fell apart because the ex-wife changed, because the other person became cold, stopped caring. Maybe that's true, partly, but rarely does a breakup come from just one side. Behind every argument, every hurt, are chains of reactions, unheard beliefs, and quiet distances that grew without being acknowledged. Asking yourself, "What did I do wrong?" is a brave step. It's not for self-blame, but to learn how to grow. Did you stay silent for too long? Did you always need to be right in every argument? Did you expect others to understand you without needing to say it? Answering those questions helps you avoid bringing the same behavior into a new relationship. And that, sometimes, is the difference between repeating a tragedy or starting a truly new chapter. After divorce, many men feel lost. They used to identify strongly with a clear role: husband, provider, caretaker. When that role is gone, it's easy to feel empty. At that point, what's needed is not someone to fill the void, but to redefine who you are. You're no longer someone's husband, no longer tied to one specific home So what remains? What do you believe in? Who do you want to be in the next 5 years? What do you need from a relationship, and what no longer fits? This is the time to rewrite your value system. Maybe you once traded time for career, but now you want to prioritize presence. Maybe you stayed silent when you weren't happy, but now you want to learn how to speak clearly. Redefining yourself is the foundation, so that the next relationship isn't built on outdated beliefs that no longer serve you. As emotions begin to settle, returning to care for your health and appearance is an important part of regaining your sense of self. This isn't for anyone else, it's for you. A man who knows the state of his body, who knows what to train, what to eat, how much to sleep, is also someone taking back control of his life. A man who chooses clothes that fit, keeps a neat haircut, and wears a light scent not to impress, but to feel confident when stepping out, is telling himself, I still deserve this. I'm still okay. The body holds emotions. When you neglect it, you're also silencing the things you feel. 1 hour of movement a day, a nutritious meal, a good night's sleep. These are real foundations to bring your spirit back to balance. Finally, if you have children, your relationship with them needs to be realigned before thinking about entering a new relationship. Children may not say much, but they feel the shifts in adults very clearly. If after the divorce there's distance, awkwardness, or unresolved sadness between you and your child, you need to take time to reconnect. When you step into fatherhood firmly, you're also proving to yourself that you can maintain a meaningful relationship. On the other hand, if you're still carrying guilt, or haven't addressed issues with your child, loving someone new may be influenced by that sense of lack. Love, when mixed with guilt, easily turns into endurance or misguided attempts to compensate. So let your relationship with your child be healed first. It will not only bring you peace, but also teach you again how to build a relationship rooted in patience, listening, and trust, all of which the next relationship will also need. After divorce, personal finances are often no longer the same. You may have had to split assets, maybe providing for your children, or simply have to start over from a lower point. And that's why it's important to stabilize your finances before thinking about a new relationship. No one loves just for money, but the truth is, when money is unclear, emotions are hard to stay intact. If you enter a relationship while still feeling insecure about spending, still worried every time you pay for something, still hiding unresolved debt, you will be the one feeling the pressure, not your partner. Be honest with yourself. What do you have? What do you owe? What do you need? Don't pretend you're okay when you're not. A mature relationship doesn't require you to be wealthy, just transparent and capable of managing your own finances. When you're not being pulled by material worries, you'll love more naturally, not with calculation or hesitation. Divorce also breaks many social ties. There were friends you used to be close with, but after the breakup, you no longer kept in touch. There were colleagues you once connected with, but due to low spirits, you slowly pulled away. At some point, your world shrank, revolving only around work and a few necessary calls. Isolation happens slowly but surely, making you get used to speaking less, connecting less, and building distance. But if you want to open up to a new relationship, you need to reacquaint yourself with others, with the feeling of conversation, of being heard, of sharing. Try texting an old friend, attend a small gathering, sign up for a skill class, a sports group, or a volunteer team. You don't need to become a great communicator. Just reopen the door that was once closed. When you relearn how to connect socially, you'll feel less lonely and more natural in welcoming someone new into your life. One of the biggest lessons after divorce is learning how to live alone. Not because you're forced to, but because you choose independence. There will be evenings when you dine alone, go home alone, turn off the lights and lie there, listening to the wind through the window. At first, it may feel empty, a bit unsteady, but over time, if you let your heart open, you'll find it's the quiet you needed. When a man can sit with his own thoughts without fear, that's when he's truly strong. You need to know that being alone doesn't mean you're lacking. When you feel enough on your own, you won't choose someone just to fill a void. You'll choose someone you truly want to walk with for who they are, not because they help ease your loneliness. Many people after divorce fall into a loop. They love again too soon. Love unconsciously, just to avoid feeling left behind. But to love again in the right way, you need to be clear about what you truly want. Take a quiet evening to write down what you expect from a new relationship. What matters to you? What's unacceptable? Don't love someone just because they're different from your ex. Don't rush into something just because it feels opposite. Opposites aren't always compatible. Remember that you're no longer the same man you were. You've changed. Pain has taught you much. And the one who's right for you now is someone who understands and resonates with this version of you, not someone chosen just to soothe old memories. Lastly, don't rush. There's nothing wrong with not being ready yet. Having someone new isn't proof you've moved on. Healing doesn't come from replacement, it comes from calmness when looking back. If you still feel the need to prove you're okay, maybe you're not truly okay yet. Only begin when your heart feels light. When loving someone is something you choose, not something you need. When you don't have to force conversation, don't have to try to seem interesting. You don't have to worry whether you'll be loved again. You're simply yourself, and that's enough. Love is not a way to hide pain. Love is the reward for learning how to embrace yourself fully. No one truly needs to rush after a divorce. There's no alarm clock ringing to say you have to fall in love again today, or that you need to prove to someone that you're okay. Men who have been through a breakup don't need to hurry to impress. What's needed more is the calmness to avoid walking the same path, to not carry the habits that once caused themselves pain. Healing has no form. It comes in the most ordinary moments, like when you can sit alone without feeling empty, when you can smile naturally at a stranger, or when you no longer feel unsteady looking toward the future. The inner barriers inside every man after divorce are like stone walls, tall, thick, and silent. But not every wall needs to be torn down. Sometimes, just a small crack, a slight shift in awareness, a persistent enough action, is enough for the light to come in. And from there, life returns. The journey of starting over doesn't need to be grand. It can be as simple as a coffee catch-up with an old friend, joining a community activity, or daring to open up to someone you've just met. You don't need to be great. You don't need to be perfect, just sincere and fully present in each small thing you choose to do. If you have been, are, or are about to go through that stage, feel free to leave a comment. What was the hardest part for you after divorce? What moment made you feel like you were truly starting again? Not everyone is ready to speak up, but sometimes your voice is exactly what helps someone else feel less alone. This video isn't just to speak, it's to listen to real people who have truly gone through it and truly understand each other. If you found value in the things shared in this video, send it to someone you think might also need to hear this. And if you want to continue the journey of rebuilding yourself in a mature, steady, and realistic way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This will be a space for men who have fallen, but still want to stand back up with dignity, and this time, for themselves.